The Norse gods of the Marvel Cinematic Universe are extremely powerful, and while they're not technically gods...
We are not gods. We're born, we live, we die, just as humans do.
They are revered among the mortals of Midgard as deities, and today I wanted to take a closer look at the power hierarchy within the Nine Realms to determine who is the most powerful divine being in the Norse pantheon. That being said, there are many more than 10 powerful Norse gods within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I wanted to go over some honorable mentions. The first of those being the warrior who stayed. The warrior who stayed was a member of Asgard's Berserker army. This group gained their power from the Berserker Staff, a legendary Asgardian weapon that amplified the user's power by tenfold. Being an elite warrior armed with the Berserker Staff, the warrior who stayed would be a formidable foe, but he chose to break the Berserker Staff and remain on Midgard and live among the mortals. So with no Berserker Staff left out there for any Asgardians to use, he was the last of this warrior class. Next up is Lorelei, who is an Asgardian enchantress who, with a word, can control any man. Using this power, she wreaked havoc across the Nine Realms by commanding armies, bringing down kings, and even entire empires. Not only is she a powerful magic user, she's also very skilled in battle, having defeated Sif in 1v1 combat once before. Even Odin may have once been put under her spell, as he orders Lorelei to be returned to the Asgardian prisons alive, which is no easy task for anyone to accomplish, so he must have a soft spot for her somewhere deep down in his heart. And speaking of Sif, the Lady Warrior is our next honorable mention. As I discussed in my Ghost Rider video, Sif is one of the greatest warriors in Asgard's history, and by the time of Ragnarok, she was considered second in battle only to Thor, making her more of a threat than any one of the Warriors 3 and even the legendary Heimdall. And finally, we have Thor's mother, Frigga, who is a high-tier sorceress who taught Loki everything he knows. Being spoken of in high regard in terms of spellcasting and battle prowess, she is not to be underestimated. While she doesn't have a ton of feats, what she does do on screen is incredible, at one point defeating the leader of the Dark Elves, Malekith, in one-on-one combat, and she's also able to take down frost giants. And that's it for the honorable mentions. I could go ahead and mention the Warriors 3 and Heimdall, but those characters all scale below the 4 that I mentioned, so they're not really that notable. So with that being said, let's get into the top 10. And at number 10, I have Valkyrie. Now, you may be wondering, why is Valkyrie number 10 when you said Sif was second in battle only to Thor? Well, I don't believe this statement includes Valkyrie, who was one of Odin's most elite warriors before she was thought dead, having been killed by Hela, meaning that no one would even consider her when discussing the most powerful warriors of Asgard. That being said, Valkyrie also has flat out better feats than anything Sif has under her belt. She was able to go up against Hela twice and live to tell the tale, and could even fight against Loki on even footing. In the final battle against Thanos, she was able to cleave through Leviathans, and with her Pegasus, she becomes even more of a threat. At number 9, I have Sylvie, who you probably didn't think would be on the list, or maybe you did, I don't know, I can't read your mind. Sylvie is, of course, a variant of Loki, who is pretty much Loki's equal in every way, able to go toe-to-toe with the trickster god on multiple occasions. Utilizing her vast arsenal of spells and enchantments, Sylvie is a force to be reckoned with. The real reason Sylvie beats Valkyrie, in my opinion, is because Loki pretty much beats Valkyrie. During their fight in Ragnarok, Loki is able to keep up with Odin's legendary warrior and eventually mind hacks his Valkyrie, causing her to relive the day her sisters were slain by Hela. At any point during this memory, Loki could have simply killed her if he wanted to, but he didn't. With Sylvie being an equal match to Loki and an even better enchanter, I think it's safe to place her one spot above Valkyrie. At number 8, we have the absolute unit, Kurse. Kurse is a dark elf warrior who has been amplified by the power of a Kurse stone, which increased his strength, speed, and durability to a point which made him pretty much unbeatable. Kurse is so strong that he's able to swat away Mjolnir like it's a minor inconvenience, and then proceeds to pummel Thor into the ground, embarrassing the god of thunder like we've never seen before. Thor probably did so poorly against Thanos because he was having traumatic flashbacks to when Kurse was demolishing his very being.
No, 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 no!
Not only this, but Kurse seemingly cannot be killed by conventional means, and it takes a literal mini black hole to defeat him. Coming in at number 7, we have Fenris, Hela's right-hand wolf. She is an undead nightmare brought back to life to f people up. More specifically, the Hulk up. I'm of the opinion that if the edge of the world wasn't there for the poor pup to fall off of, she would have torn the Hulk to shreds. And let's be honest, she might not even be dead again. I mean, she's undead, but, killed again. Because we know that Thor can survive in space.
Jesus.
And Fenris was knocked off the edge of Asgard before it was destroyed by Surtur, so Fenris could just be floating out there waiting for somebody to pick her up, like Battle Beast in Invincible, and then she'd just be right back at it. Just above Fenris, I have Laufey at number 6, and Laufey is most likely going to be the most underrated character on the list, but let me make my case. He was the leader of the Frost Giants and Odin's longtime rival. Despite not being at the level of the Allfather, Laufey was powerful enough to harm Odin, relieving the Norse god of his eye. Not only this, but Laufey was also able to bat away Frigga like he was Kurse facing off against Mjolnir, which of course is nothing to scoff at. As we've already discussed how formidable Frigga was, and let's keep in mind that this wasn't even peak Laufey. He and his Frost Giants had been significantly weakened after their source of power, the Casket of Ancient Winters, was taken from them. With the casket, Laufey could lay waste to entire planets, casting them into ice ages and killing anyone in his path, including Asgardians, who, when even touched by a weakened Frost Giant, begins to freeze on contact. We all know Laufey was ultimately killed by his son, Loki, in a relatively lackluster way, being blasted in the back by Odin's legendary Gungnir. So, not only was he killed by a weapon channeling the Odin force, but he was killed with his back turned, not expecting to be attacked, and weakened, not having the Casket of Ancient Winters. Getting into the top 5, I have Loki, more specifically, Classic Loki, a character who was trained by Frigga in the mystic arts and lived the same life as our lovable anti-hero to a certain point. However, this version of the character has reached nearer to Loki's full potential than we've ever seen before. Not only would this version of the character be well versed in the mystic arts, but the martial arts as well, as we've seen how formidable Loki is in hand-to-hand combat. But as he explains to his other Loki companions, blades stunt the growth of their magical powers, and having cast aside this crutch, he was able to fully explore the capabilities that Lokis possess, including, but certainly not limited to, illusion casting to a level that not even Thanos could see through, energy blasts, teleportation, either instantly in short bursts or long distance with the use of portals, weapon conjuring, shape-shifting, and transmutation of himself as well as others, mind hacks that are strong enough to even pierce the mind of the Allfather Odin. He has power nullification, duplication spells, and he could even conceal himself from Heimdall's all-seeing eyes.
I've seen every cock on the planet.
And while not super relevant, Loki should also have a resistance to extreme cold, as he is also a frost giant. With his high-level spells combined with elite fighting skills, an older, more experienced Loki would be a real threat to almost anyone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and could end up possibly being higher on the list after everything is said and done. But for now, I think this is the safest place for a quote-unquote full potential Loki. Just above Loki is his brother Thor. Now, Thor is a character we've seen grow so much within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. From a cocky man-child who wanted nothing more than to revel in the glory of war as the king of Asgard, to someone who gave up the title willingly to another that he felt would lead the Asgardian people to a brighter future than he could at that time. During this emotional journey, Thor's powers had also grown leaps and bounds. After awakening his true power as the god of thunder and obtaining the mighty Stormbreaker, Thor began to live up to the legend that Odin had left in his wake. While Thor still has room to grow, he's easily one of the most powerful Asgardians to ever live, able to battle against the Goddess of Death, the Mad Titan, and the Incredible Hulk. For a more detailed breakdown of Thor's immense power, please check out my nearly 20-minute video all about the God of Thunder. There I go over his more specific feats, give you calculations to determine exactly how powerful Thor is, and go over his speed as well as his durability. Just know at this point, Thor could easily destroy anyone below him, including Kurse, who had beaten a weaker version of Thor, who had Mjolnir at that time. Now he has Stormbreaker, has fully awakened his powers, and has grown over 10 times more powerful than he was at that time. And while Thor has grown much more powerful over the course of his journey, he still has not reached the level of his older sister, Hela, the goddess of death, who I also have a video on if you're interested. Hela's power comes directly from Asgard, and she draws power from the planet. While on Asgard, her power grows indefinitely, and with it, she was able to slaughter Asgard's entire army single-handedly, kill Odin's most powerful fighting force, the Valkyries, defeat the God of Thunder himself, and even shatter the legendary Mjolnir. Utilizing her elite fighting skill with her ability to summon necro weapons at a whim, she is a difficult puzzle to solve for any opponent, not to mention her ridiculous ability to regenerate. She can be stabbed and even hit with the most powerful lightning strike in the history of lightning strikes and get back up like nothing happened. In my opinion, she's more than a match for someone like Thanos, who Thor stood no chance against. Thor may surpass her one day, but for now, Big Sister takes the number 3 spot. At number 2, we have Surtur, the demon king of Muspelheim, who was fated to destroy Asgard in Ragnarok, and he is one of the 2 beings in the Norse mythology established within the Marvel Cinematic Universe who could defeat Hela in battle. Armed with his crown and eternal flame, Surtur could take everything Hela had and keep going, eventually destroying her along with her source of power, Asgard. Surtur is so powerful that the Hulk, widely considered to be one of, if not the most physically powerful Avenger, was nothing to Surtur, just like a fly buzzing around his head. And just to clarify, Thor did defeat Surtur to try and prevent Ragnarok. However, Surtur was not imbued with his eternal flame at that time and was much weaker than when he appears at the end of the film, dwarfing the mountains on Asgard and plunging his blade into the planet's core. And at number 1 is Odin. Is this any surprise? Odin, the All-Father, is easily the most powerful god of the Asgardian 9 realms. Odin had been waging war throughout the 9 realms since his childhood, laying waste to kingdoms, slaying great beasts, and dominating entire realms. During his prime, he faced off against the fire demon Surtur, who was prophesied to bring Ragnarok and the end of Asgard. Hoping to prevent this, Odin defeated Surtur and stole his eternal flame to be locked away within Asgard for the remainder of eternity. Not only this, but Odin was able to also defeat his daughter Hela not once, but twice, sealing her away in hell and tying her fate to his life force. As long as Odin lived, Hela could never hope to escape. Wielding the king's weapon Gungnir and channeling the Odin force, Odin brought peace to the Nine Realms, defeating Laufey in single combat and taking the frost giant's source of power, the Casket of Ancient Winters. Even when old and weary, on the verge of the Odin sleep, he's able to toss aside Laufey with his incredible aura. Not only this, but Odin can completely nullify another Asgardian's power. He's able to take Thor's power, and the enchantment that he placed on Mjolnir is powerful enough to prevent anyone from ever picking it up if they're not worthy. The enchantment is so incredible that not even the Hulk could budge Mjolnir, since he's not even close to being worthy of picking it up. And we really haven't even scratched the surface of Odin's immense power throughout the MCU. Of course, he has insane magical prowess, as we just discussed with the enchantment that he placed on Mjolnir and completely nullifying all of Thor's power, but he's also able to just transmute matter itself, which he does during Frigga's funeral. So if they really wanted to, we could get some flashbacks of Odin to make him even more of a badass, but what we know right now shows us that he is clearly head and shoulders above everyone else within the pantheon of Norse mythology. And that is my top 10 most powerful Asgardians, or I guess gods, within the Norse pantheon that has been established within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What is your top 10? Does it differ from mine? Let me know down in the comments, and let's try to keep it as civil as possible, and I'll reply to as many comments as I can. Thanks for watching, everyone, and remember the motto, it's Odin over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.